Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this month's episode of our monthly book review. I am joined by my co-host, Carly O'Donoghue, and this month we're reviewing a book called My Dream Time by Ash Barty. So,
Woohoo!
Carly,
Great book.
woohoo!
Yeah, it is a good book. How are you, Tyson?
I'm fantastic. So, before, just give some context of what this book is all about,
Okay.
so that people will know whether to keep listening or they can just switch off.
Yeah, no, such a good idea. Okay, so this book is all about the journey of Ash from around about the age 5 when she started tennis, all the way through to the Australian Open 2021 when she won it as ranking world number one. It goes through a lot of her mental journey that she had to go through, her reliance on her team around her to actually get to her goal. Look, if you watch tennis or you like tennis, you'll be able to resonate with the players that she talks about. So when you're reading the book, which is actually a really easy book to read, you can visualize those players that she's talking about. So you feel as though you are on the journey with her, which is what I really liked about this book.
Mm.
However, if you don't like sport, I don't think you should read the book because I think that you won't get the same impact. Even though the book has amazing messages, is what we'll go through next, I don't actually think you'll enjoy the read.
Yeah, and probably if you don't like tennis, and like you said before, if you've never watched tennis, then you won't know the players. And even though when I was reading the book, I haven't watched tennis for the last, say, 2 or 3 years. So a lot of the names that she mentions in
Yeah.
those last couple of years that she played, I had no idea who they were.
Well, I couldn't even pronounce some of the names.
Well, yeah,
So
I couldn't
like
pronounce it either.
but you like all the big hitters, all the big players, and how she's friends with a lot of them. Like in the tennis world, a lot of them are actually really good mates. And how
Mm.
she goes through how she's good mates and they hit the ball between each other at the beginning of even their matches that they're playing together. So there's a lot of stuff in this book that as I said, perception is reality. The what we perceive the players on the TV and what they're like, but the reality of who they are as people and what they have to go through day in and day out to get to their end goal. This is what that book tells you about.
Okay, so the idea of doing these monthly book reviews is we're just going to share a few pointers from the book that we found interesting and relating it back to podiatry, career, business, whoever people want to actually take it. So do you want to share your first point?
Yeah, like so for those who just want a round off of the book,
Yeah.
that's good. You can switch off now. For those who actually want a deeper insight into very intellectual messages about the book, you stay listening and grab a bit of this knowledge that we're about to impart.
Oof, I can't wait. And what's good about this one too is we haven't really discussed our points in detail with each other.
Not really.
So it'll be
No.
good.
So that'll be good for us as well.
Fingers crossed. Okay, so do you want to share the first one, or would you like me to?
Look, you share your first one. You've got a couple of points. I've got one point
Big
about
point.
comfort zones that I want to talk about in your security blankets. But you go.
Okay,
Go
so
ahead.
the first point I took away from it, and I can normally tell a book that I'm really going to enjoy within the first 2 pages. If it says something really profound in the first 2 pages, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to enjoy the rest of the book.
Yep.
Very rarely has that ever disappointed me. And in the first 2 pages, or actually the first page, it actually mentions about having two voices in her head. And it
Yep.
was like the voice that was telling her that she could do it, and the other voice that constantly kept telling her that she was a failure, she was a fake, she shouldn't be there. And I went, wow, she was world number one, winning Wimbledon, and she still had these voices going on in her head. And it made me realize that as a podiatrist or anybody else that's in business,
Well, she's a human being, so
yeah,
that's
we all have these voices. I have them every single day that is chatting away in my ear. They reckon the only time it's a problem is when you start talking back to them.
yeah. It's funny why we're laughing. We did actually discuss this point beforehand, and we're laughing, going, "Oh, I just caught myself. I can't believe it, Tyson. I caught myself talking to myself in the car." And my daughter goes, "Who are you talking to, Mum?" I'm thinking, "Oh my God, I'm one of those people that talks back to those demons on your shoulder."
But it is. So it's good to know that even people at the most elite level in every aspect of life have these voices going on in the head. So if you're having them now and there's self-doubt and you feel like sometimes you feel like you're a fake, that that people say fake it till you make it. Everybody is going through that. So you're not unusual to have negative thoughts.
Yeah,
That's
totally
why
normal.
you got to always have more positive thoughts to outweigh them.
Yeah, that's right. And you're not alone when you have these thoughts as well. And that's why it's super important to reach out to people around you, because they're most likely going through the same thing, because they've got those two voices in their heads as well.
Yeah.
In
So
their
what was it?
heads, just one head.
In their heads?
Oh,
Got two.
goodness
They're
me.
from Tasmania. That will be edited out of the.
That will be
That will
really
be edited off the podcast, but we'll keep it on the video. This is why the videos are more entertaining.
Right. It is.
Yes. So no more talking about two-headed Tasmanians.
No. Yep.
I've got a lot of friends from Tasmania, all of which have one head. So
I love Tasmania.
Oh, it's a beautiful place.
I love it.
Yeah,
I could live down there. I do love it.
Yeah, I could live there in summer. The winter, it'd be too cold for me. Anyway, let's get back to the podcast.
Anyway,
So anyway, what was one of the things that you wanted to share? You said you got one main point.
Oh, look, I think the main point is about the book is comfort zones. So we've all heard about comfort zones before, but how this book really resonated with me is it told us about her journey to expand her comfort zones and how she actually did it. Because unless you expand your comfort zone, you're not going to reach where you want to reach. So let's say, for those who don't know a lot about comfort zone is your security blanket. So your security blanket is where you're very comfortable where you're at. But to say you're 1 or 2 years out in your career, you've got a security blanket, which means you're comfortable with what you're doing. To get to the next level, you have to let go of that security blanket. And no one likes being uncomfortable. But Ash talks about in the book that to actually let go of your security blanket, you have to learn. So you have to learn, you have to master your skills. You can't just have skills, you've got to master them. So she was talking about, she knows how to do a backhand, but mastering that backhand, doing slices and different. So she'd work for a couple of hours just on one skill. And that was every day. So it's mastering your skills. You have to listen. So this is a big point I want to get across. If you want to increase your comfort zone, so if you want to let go of your security blanket, you have to listen to people that have more knowledge than you. Do not listen to your podiatry friend or business friend beside you who's at the same level that's talking about the same bullshit stuff. You need to actually listen to people who have different experiences than you.
Yeah.
That you respect. That when we talk about mentoring, it's mentors are people that are not on the same journey as you. They've either gone through the journey or on a different journey, but are at a different level than you. People that are in big businesses and big corporations, the leadership within those corporations is something that you probably should hone into if you have a small business, because guess what? The concepts of business are the same. How we do it may be a little bit different, but the actual concept's the same. So if you continue learning new things, you let go of your security blanket and jump up to the next level. And that's what she talks about in her tennis career, actually looking at the team that is around her and choosing the teams. This is where that no dickhead policy comes in, Tyson. And that's not my words. This is Ash Barty's words.
Yeah.
Because she did retire once and then she got back into tennis. But when she got back into it, she had to hire a new team around her. And it's the team's journey as well. But she said, one thing that I've learned in my career and that I want in my new team to get me to win that Australian Open is I need a no dickhead policy around me. And I think that can resonate with a lot of people. You're not going to get anywhere.
The New Zealand, How can you do that? Oh, the All Blacks. Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, the All Blacks.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
the
it's
All
exactly the
Blacks.
same as the New Zealand All Blacks. They actually have a no dickhead policy in their
Yeah.
team. And by having that, that made them like one of the most successful sports team in the
Yeah.
world in history. I just wish some Facebook groups had a no dickhead policy.
True that.
Would
True that.
it
So
would make life so much easier.
that's true. That is true. So your comfort zone, to get a visual on that, is say you start out, your comfort zone's the size of a dollar coin.
Yeah.
Now, where you want to reach to might be the size of a dinner plate, your comfort zone. And that means that if you get a comfort zone the size of a dinner plate, it means you've got more resilience. And getting more resilience means that you can get dropped all these problems during the day and they just slide off you because they're not important. That's, I suppose, one example. But it means that you can cope with more because you've got more resilience. So your comfort zone is bigger. So where you're comfortable with every day and what you're doing, it opens up your palette of knowledge. I love that word. Palette of knowledge. So if your palette of knowledge keeps increasing, your comfort zone will increase. And that for me is the whole touch point of the book, of this Ash Barty book. It tells you how she does that mentally to get to where she wanted to get to.
Yeah, and I think this is even more important for new graduates to understand. And that's what happens when people, say, born and bred, say, in Southeast Queensland, around Brisbane, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast area, and they graduate and their family lives in that area, their boyfriend or girlfriend or partner lives in that area.
Yeah.
So that when they graduate, they're too scared to move out of that area because that area is their comfort zone. And
Look, your comfort
that's
zone's
where they stay.
moving out of it is scary.
Yeah.
It is scary, but how do you think people succeed? How do you look up to someone and go, oh, well, you're up there, you've done this, this, and this, and that's where I need to be. But if you don't risk something, if you don't challenge yourself, you're going to be holding on to that security blanket for a long, long time.
Yeah. And I can openly admit when I graduated, I stayed in Southeast Queensland. I was actually too scared to move away from it. And there were jobs in other areas like Canberra and down in Sydney. I think my brother was down in South Australia at the time. And I was too frightened to leave the safety net of where I grew up. But then circumstances led to me driving to Cairns one day. And 30 years later, I'm still here. Yeah. Didn't go back. So I was actually forced out of my comfort zone. I wasn't running out of town, but I just went for a drive.
So we say on the podcast.
So we say on the podcast, yes. I wasn't running out of town. But anyway, those pitchforks and torches that night, geez, they put a lot of pressure on me.
Yeah, it's scary stuff.
I know. But when I got to Cairns, I went, oh, this is nice up here. I'm going to stay here for a bit of a holiday. And by the way, I had a hand injury, so I couldn't work. So because of that, once I got used to the area, I'm thinking, hey, you know what? I could actually live here. And 30 years later, I'm still here. And I wouldn't have had the career I had if I hadn't have left my comfort zone. Yep. So I'm glad those people with the pitchforks and torches that night got me moving.
Yeah, and look, all those people that are either going to graduate from uni or are in their first and second years, if your employer is throwing you in the deep end or is giving you some challenges where you think, well, I don't know that, or this is a bit hard, don't have that mindset. Change your mindset and research. If you don't know something, learn how to do it. Don't shy away from it, and you'll be a much better practitioner for doing it.
I agree. I agree 100% because it is. Oh, excuse me. I agree 100% because I would have a new graduate come and work with me, and my goal was I would really throw them in the deep end, but be holding the hand the whole time over that first 3 months. And majority of them, when they had finished working with me, say they learnt more in that 3 months than a lot of their friends did after a couple of years, because I threw them in the deep end, but I was still there actually supporting them. And I took them right out of their comfort zone, right from the beginning. So their comfort zone grew so fast.
Yeah. And don't think that if you're 5 years out, if you're 10 years out, 15 years out, that you can't, if your comfort zone is you've hit the rim of it, you haven't hit the rim of it. Sometimes you can't even see the edge of your comfort zone. If you are out, I've got someone working for me at the moment that we're now teaching some leadership skills. So you can always learn something in your career that challenges you and makes you have that greater comfort zone.
Yeah, even getting you on the podcast here
Yeah.
was out of your comfort zone initially.
Absolutely. I'm not a podcaster, but here I am talking about this beautiful book, and I love it. You like the sound of your voice a lot better, Tyson, than I do.
I got
I'm more
used to
of a one-on-one person, but hey, here we are.
Hey, and to prove, we should hold the book up to prove anyone
gosh.
watching the video.
But prove that we've
Because
actually
once again,
read
I can edit this out of the podcast to prove that we have actually read the book. We're not just making it up. So there you go. So, well, what you're talking about there leads me on to, because when she said about the no dickhead policy,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't actually even something she wrote in the book. It was a photo that's in the book. And underneath the photo, it said, "We won Wimbledon." And it was a photo of her team when she won Wimbledon, all standing there with their arms up in the air cheering. And I love the way that she said, "We won Wimbledon." It wasn't like, "When I won Wimbledon." And I've seen that in other books. Oh, this is when I did this, and this is when I did that. At no stage did she say that. It was a team effort. And I think if you're the business owner, success of your business, yes, you may have owned it, you may have started it, but it is a team effort from day one right through until you eventually decide to stop.
Absolutely. If you own a business, it's pretty much your name is just on the bills to pay. Your team actually builds the business.
Yeah, they don't pay the bills, do they?
No,
Damn
I love
it.
not paying the bills. Your team actually builds the business, and they're the front runners. So
hey, how would that work
success,
for an incentive? Someone signs up with you, someone comes and works with you, you give them their employment agreement, and you say, "Oh, and by the way, I've put the phone bill, the electricity bill, and the rent under your name. So if we don't do well this month, it's going to be a tough one for you."
Oh, that would be a tough conversation. I can just see the looks on their faces.
No, well, that's the thing. We don't do that.
No,
but
no.
Just because that's a good point. Just because our name is on the bills, it is still a team effort to get everything done.
Yeah, it just means that you as a business owner have a lot more responsibility and accountability at the end of the day. However, the success of the business is a team thing. And so if you're in a workplace at the moment and they keep talking about team, and we must do this together, but everyone's very separate and running their own race, it's not really a team effort, is it? But Ash, to get to her goal in the book, it constantly mentions the word team. And from what you were saying with those photos, what is a really nice touch in this book is in the center of the book. There's probably about 10 pages back to back of different photos of her tennis career and people that she knows. And so when you are reading the book, you can refer back to those pictures and you can put a face to the name, a few family members, her niece that she had on her.
Well, looks like we've lost Carly. Don't know where she went. She's sort of dropped out. But anyway, she'll be back soon. So I was just flicking through the book then to see how many pages there were actually in this book. And I reckon there's about 15 or 20 pages of photos. So I can even write through from here. It's almost like a show and tell now from when she was a young child. And it goes through. And I may as well, while you're watching the video, because this won't be in the podcast, I'll show you this photo that I was talking about where her team actually wins. Now it's got to find. Here we go. So if you're watching the video, this is the photo that I was actually talking about. That one there, where everybody has their arms up in the air. So I'm going to press pause on this for a sec and wait for Carly to come back, and then we will actually finish up. So just hang on a sec. Again. Oh, look, he's decided to drop back in.
Sorry, I just thought I'd take a bit of a coffee break.
Technical difficulties. That's what happens.
Yeah,
that's
what happens. It happens.
So
sorry about that.
Oh, you were talking about how many the pages in the middle book about all the photos, and I was actually counting them before you buggered off. And it's about 20 pages of photos. A lot of photos.
There is a lot.
So yeah, that part was good. So okay, I know that people listening to this or watching the video want us to just keep moving so this doesn't drag on forever, because they're supposed to be not super long episodes. So I just wanted to, I thought I just wanted to share this last point that we both thought was, it's not really it's a point, but it's something we both went, oh my God, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That was
It's
really, really
interesting. It's a
interesting.
fun fact. It's a
Fun
fun
fact.
fact, and it's a very interesting insight into tennis.
So here is the fun fact that they use different balls at different tournaments.
I know, right? How
I know.
exciting.
I know. So the Australian Open uses, I can't remember what they say, uses Dunlop, and Wimbledon uses, can you
Is
remember
it
which one
Wilson?
Wimbledon?
No.
Yeah, I actually might be Wilson.
Mm,
I do have it written down in here. Here we go.
they use.
I have it written down here so we wouldn't forget. So Wimbledon uses Schlesinger since 1902. Australian Open uses Dunlop. The French and US Open use Wilson, which is probably why I like on Castaway, Wilson.
Which we were debating, isn't it a coconut? But
no, it wasn't a
it's not.
coconut. It was a volleyball.
It is a coconut.
It's a volleyball.
Volleyball. Right. Why
And
do
the
I think
volleyball
it's a
had
coconut?
Wilson written on it because it looked like a coconut by the end, I think.
Oh, right.
I'm going to have to watch it now in case I'm wrong.
Sorry.
Anyway, and then what they said that, and the balls work differently depending on the surface that they're on and also what the weather conditions are. And even though there's all this data and technology that all the coaches and all the players are given on the balls and the surface and everything else, Ash said, look, it sounds like we're on first name basis here.
Well,
Ash
we are.
said that even though she's given all that data, it still comes down to how the ball feels on the racket that particular day. And she's constantly getting this feedback. And then she works out how she's actually going to play. So I thought that was interesting. But relating it to podiatry, what I thought was great is, they have different balls for different services, different tournaments. We have orthotics, for example. No one orthotic, one type of orthotic or one type orthotic design is going to be perfect for every patient because you've got different footwear, different activities, different sporting events. So you may read an article that somebody in the profession is very profound, says, this is the type of orthotic you should make for this problem and this material. But still, you've just got to take all that data on board and you've got to be like Ash Barty. Once you're on the court or you're in the room with the patient, you've got to make a call on what you see there. And then you can't just stick with what the textbooks say. And that's where students, this is where experience comes with seeing patients. You're taught
absolutely.
stuff at uni.
Yeah.
Then it's your experience of taking what you've been taught and told, which is the raw data, and then applying it like you're the tennis player on the court.
Yeah. And it comes down to, we give patients treatment plans and go, well, what's my A, B, C? What's the step in the treatment plan? It's called reading the room. So if you've got your rapport with the patient as soon as they come in, but if the patient's really anxious, or if the patient is, wants a solution straight away, or if someone is just rabbiting on about their life history and you can't actually get to too much in that treatment time, this is where you'll learn to read the room. And reading the room means that you listen, that listening word again, you listen to the patient and you evolve your treatment plan according to the patient. So there's not a set recipe. You know the outcome that you want, but how you get to that outcome is exactly what the different tennis balls on the court is for the tennis that Ash is playing. She has to read the way the tennis ball is hitting off the racket on that particular moment to actually get to the outcome that she wants.
Yeah.
So same.
Yeah, and it is like when I did an episode, 10 smoke me. Do that again. I did an episode a while back, and it was 10 tips I've learnt about 10 tips or 10 business tips that relate to smoking meat. I can't remember what episode it was. And it's exactly the same thing. It's like how Ash with the ball and the racket, there's so many other variables with the weather and everything else that's happening. It's no different to when you're smoking meat. The book might say, put it in at this temperature for this long, and you're going to end up with this perfect pulled pork, for example. But it doesn't know someone who's in Tasmania, the place we mentioned before, and Cairns, weather conditions completely different, humidity completely different. You have to make a call there and then on what's actually happening.
Yep.
Based on all these other factors. So when you're with the patient in the room, if you could do the same thing, you got to read the room and then adjust your treatment based on what you actually see.
Yeah. And
Do
that's
not
the
just follow the
listening and
textbook.
learning. Yeah, that's right. So you might make a mistake to begin with. Who cares? Who
Yeah.
cares about making mistakes? What is the lesson that you've learned from that mistake? And like you've got your piece of meat on the barbecue, you burnt it. Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
It did that a
But
few
the
times.
next time you're cooking a piece of meat on the barbecue, you've learnt from the last time that, gee, I don't want to waste more meat. I want to actually eat this meal. It didn't work for, 20 minutes one side, 10 minutes the next. Let's change it up a little bit.
Let's bring the temperature down a bit.
So if you've got a patient in the room and you say, well, we're going to do this in the treatment plan, I'm going to strap your foot up and, next time come in and we're going to do A, B, and C. If they don't come back in, what's your learn from that? It's okay if they don't come back in, but if you don't learn anything from it, maybe it was your communication that you've done. You think your communication's good, but what did they actually take away from the consult? So you always have to adjust and learn. And that's what this book talks about as well, just in a different way. So this is why we do these book reviews, because even though they're a good read, this Ash Barty book has absolutely nothing to do with podiatry, but the messages absolutely relate to business and what you can do every day.
Well, it's like most books you read. Most books, whether it's business, autobiographies, all those sort of things, they're not about podiatry, but it's about reading information and going, okay, how can I use that in podiatry? How can I use that in my life? Or how can I use that with my team? So it's always I'm always there just taking in information. And I think everyone should do that. So we should wrap up because
we should.
We said we were going to keep these under 30 minutes, and I think we've done that quite easily. And the video itself, like the podcast, will be way under 30 minutes. The video goes a little bit longer because there's a couple of boo-boos that happen along the way and a few inappropriate things that we said. So if people want to go and check out the video, just go to my YouTube channel, Tyson E. Franklin, and you can watch the video on there. And a couple of funny things happened while we did this recording.
Sorry in advance.
We apologize. So, Carly, thank you very much for sharing this monthly book review with me. And I look forward to next month's book as well.
Yes. I'll see you all then.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Well, I should stop the video now. Hang on. So the people who are still here watching the video.
We can't find the button to stop.
Yeah, hang on. No, I found the button. So on the podcast, I don't know if people realize this. I don't know when you listen to it, Carly, that when I do the podcast, I usually pause it for it.
Yeah, there's a
silence.
bit of an end tip. Yeah.
And then it's go, okay. Well, if you're still here.
For those of us.
For those that are still here, here is this month tip. So I might do one here on the video if people hung around for, and then I'll put this on the end of the book. Oh, should I put it on the end of the book review? No, I won't, because that's not.
No, I leave it to yours.
No.
Leave it to your podcast.
Okay, well, I'm going to put it on here on the video, and then I'm going to take it from here and put it on my next podcast that I do.
Do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, because I've got a podcast coming out just before this one. So I'll put it on there. So here, for those of you who have hung around, here is this month's, I'm going to do that again. So people who watch these videos realize how many mistakes I make when I'm doing the podcast. So for those of you who have hung around, here is this week's secret tip. And what I want to talk about is the fast brain and slow brain. So we've basically got two parts of our brain. Your fast brain is pretty much your unconscious mind, where information comes to you and your fast brain has to make really, really quick decisions. And probably 95% of the decisions we make are all taken care of the fast brain. It then passes that information down to the slow brain, who then really thinks about it a little bit more and goes, yep, fast brain, you got it right. So if I said to you 2 + 2, straight away, your fast brain goes 4, and it just moves on. Even though it's moved on, your slow brain then looks at it and goes, yep, that fast brain was right. So it just keeps going. On other podcasts I've mentioned a few times, a confused mind says no. And that's where the fast brain and slow brain come into effect. So if I said to you 3,421 times 19,006, your fast brain will go, oh. It flicks it through to the slow brain. The slow brain is there going, oh, hang on, it's, nah, I'm not going to do it. And it just walks away. So if you have patients in the room with you, if you're giving them simple instructions, they can very easily understand that. The fast brain will say yes. The slow brain will concur and go, yes, that was good, that we're going to do that. If you give people complicated instructions, or you give them too many instructions or a complicated treatment plan, the fast brain will go, and passes it through the slow brain. Now, they might take all that information home and say, look, we're going to think about it. And what it is the slow brain saying, we need to think about this. They get home, and this is when the slow brain, while it's trying to think through it, if it's still too confusing, they will never do anything about it, because a confused mind says no. So just remember, fast brain, slow brain, make the information really simple to your patients so the fast brain just says yes, because 95% of the decisions are made there anyway. So that's the tip for this week. Hope you get something from that. And that's it from me. What do you think of that, Carly?
You did that tip on the Next Generation one.
Did I?
Yep.
The fast brain,
so I didn't want to stop you.
Did I really?
Because, yeah, you did.
Oh, shit.
So I just thought,
Hang on. Normally,
because
then, I write down when I.
But yeah, I listened to.
No, I may have said a
just
confused
said
mind.
Yesterday.
Maybe a confused mind says no.
Yes, but you still said fast brain and slow brain.
Did I really?
Yeah, so you did that whole thing.
Shit. Oh, well, so anyone who's watching this video who may not have listened to that episode.
Are you putting this on the video as well?
What's that?
Are you putting this on the video as well?
Yeah, I'm not editing the video. I never edit the video.
Oh, right.
Everything we've
good.
said is on the video. Actually, I should stop the podcast though over here. I can stop that now. Oh, well, I'll have to come up with another one. I didn't realize I'd already said that.
That's okay. The people that are watching this video, still hi, everyone.
Yeah.
That was new information for them, possibly, because they may not have listened to that podcast.
See, normally
a special treat at the end.
Oh no, I'm going to have to listen to the end of that podcast now. I think I may have said, maybe I did say it. See, normally when I use it, I put a little note in my brain.
And I was smiling when I was listening to that yesterday in the car. I was smiling because you had mentioned that to me last week when we spoke about this podcast, when we were talking about some stuff. Okay. And you mentioned that to me. And then I heard it on the podcast. I'm going, oh yeah, cool. And then you mentioned it again. And I'm thinking, gee, you really like that point.
I do actually. I do like that point.
Yeah, I think it's really valid. Yeah.
So, okay, I'm gonna stop the video now. I know where the button is, and I hope everyone's enjoyed this video. You had as many laughs as what we have, and you're tuned in for the next one. So, see you later.
Bye.